Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in this video we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of a 10-gallon fish tank. We've done videos like this before on both 2.5 and 5-gallon fish tanks. Those tanks were really small. This is the first tank that we're talking about where we're actually getting into a size that I think most people can deal with, especially for beginners. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We do a lot of videos just like this, and in fact we did an entire beginner series that I'm going to put in the description below, especially if you're new to getting started. It should help you out. They're older videos, but the information is pretty good. So a 10-gallon fish tank. Why would we want one? Well, I think first thing is it's a relatively inexpensive tank to start, and that's what attracts a lot of buyers. So we're getting a tank that's about 20 inches long. It's about 10.5 inches front to back and about 12.5 inches tall. So it's a manageable size. It's the type of fish tank that you could put on some furniture as long as it's sturdily built and it can hold 100 pounds or so. It's a type of tank where you could put just about anywhere and not have to dedicate a stand or space to that tank. The other cool thing is it is 10 gallons, and so we're getting a little bit more volume than a lot of the smaller nano tanks that are on the market today. There's going to be a number of advantages because of that. One, you're going to be able to keep your water parameters a little bit more steady. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase the health of your fish and increase the enjoyment in the hobby. Generally speaking, the larger the volume in the fish tank, the easier it's going to be to manage proper water parameters. And a 10-gallon, we're starting to get to that point. Unlike a 2.5-gallon or a 5-gallon, with the 10-gallon, it's a little bit easier to manage those water parameters. The other cool thing is we're not dealing with a big volume of water, and because of that, aquarium maintenance is going to be relatively easy. So it might only take 15 or 20 minutes a week to maintain that filter, to do the water changes, to maintain the filter itself. It's going to be relatively straightforward. The other cool thing is when it comes to stocking options with a 10-gallon fish tank, we've got a few more options than some of the smaller fish tanks like a 2.5-gallon or a 5-gallon. And so we did a video on 10-gallon stocking options. I'm going to put that in the upper right-hand corner, as well as in the description below if you want to get some really cool ideas. So one of the really cool things in our fish room is we've got 14 10-gallon fish tanks out of the 65 total that we have. And we use those fish tanks for a number of reasons. A couple of them are just for our guppy community tanks, but a lot of our 10-gallon tanks are used for quarantine. By the way, if you're new to fish keeping, you should definitely have a quarantine tank if you've got a larger display tank. We did a video on how to quarantine fish. I'm going to put that in the upper right-hand corner as well as in the description below. Quarantining fish can save you a lot of problems, and we use some of our 10-gallon tanks for that purpose. We also use them for growing out fry, and so let's say you've got some fish that start having babies. What do you do with them? A 10-gallon tank is a nice, easy option to put those fry and separate them from other fish. We also use it to grow out some of our fry. If we've got a female that's holding eggs or fry in her mouth, we can separate her from the rest of the community and leave her alone in a 10-gallon tank and let her release the fry when she's ready. So those 10-gallon tanks have a lot of really cool uses. Now, when it comes to disadvantages of a 10-gallon fish tank, there are a couple worth considering. One, we've already mentioned water parameters. Now, while it's going to be easier to manage water parameters in a 10-gallon tank relative to something smaller, the general rule of thumb is the larger you go, the easier it is to maintain consistent water parameters. And so it's still going to be easier to maintain water parameters, especially for a beginner, in a 20-gallon or a 29-gallon, but if you don't have the space, a 10-gallon is a nice compromise. The other issue is going to be stocking ideas. While we did do that video, the stocking options are going to be a little bit less than something larger. The larger the tank you have, the more potential stocking options you have. But a 10-gallon tank is a great tank for someone who's both a beginner or someone who's experienced a lot of potential uses. A good balance between cost, especially if you're new to the hobby, and stocking options and ideas for aquascaping. All right, everyone, so I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.